Hey everyone, and welcome to International Mind Body Wellness Day. I am joined by two of our absolutely fantastic coaches, Jane and Madhurima. Wonderful session lined up for you today on stress management. So today is all about how our mind and body are aligned and the importance of looking after our wellness. Now, guys, you've got a couple of people saying hello to you, so I'm just going to bring up some comments for you so you can start to say hello to everybody.
Hello, hello. Oh my gosh, there are so many people in here. Hi.
Lots of people saying hello to each other. That's fantastic. So, hello everyone. Welcome. You are in for an absolutely wonderful session today. I'm excited. I'm going to hand this over to you, Madhurima, so you can introduce yourself. Jane, Madhurima, best of luck. Thank you so much for taking the time to pull this together. I'm going to be in the background. I'm looking forward to learning from both of you. Thank you so much, guys.
Woohoo, let's go, let's go. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Paul. Today is the Mind, Body, and Wellness Day, International Mind, Body, and Wellness Day. So huge. I'm so glad like a day like this exists. What's getting you excited about this day? I feel like back when I was really young, we didn't have any awareness around stuff like this. So I was like, I hope there was I used to think I hope there's some kind of a community, some kind of a day that celebrates the wellness of it. And here it is. We are doing it today. So amazing. So today, me and Jane are going to walk you through stress management. Jane is going to handle the NLP side. I'm going to handle instant stress management techniques that you can try when you are feeling overwhelmed, stressed out, and burnt out. Quick introduction, I'm Madhurima Sappatti. I'm a freedom soul coach and I help multi passionate, ambitious dreamers manage their stress and burnout so that they can go out there and manifest their dreams without their own self holding them back. This usually happens when stress kind of comes into the picture and acts as fear, tries to hold you back, makes you overwhelmed, make you overthink. There's a lot of things that happen in there, but I don't want to take away from the spotlight and from the presentation. So, Jane, over to you. I am going to start the presentation now. Please feel free to go
Thank
ahead and
you.
welcome Jane.
Thank
Woohoo!
you. Thank you. I think we should put music and people should dance along, yeah?
Oh yeah, that would be so dope. Oh my gosh.
Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, everyone who tuned in. Thank you, Madhurima, for being with me here today. My name is Jane Jogu. I am a transformation mindset coach. I'm all about the mind because everything starts from up here. And if we don't look after our mind, the body is in trouble. So we need to work on our mindset. We need to change everything we say. We need to be positive all the time. And that's why I think we should have music and dance. Anyway, because of time, I'll just go ahead and start with the presentation. I'm NLP certified
Yes.
coach, so I'm going to handle stress management in line with neuro linguistic programming. Currently, I'm doing my EMCC with Coaching Minds. I'm excited actually, and that's how I met this beautiful lady here. So, if you have any comments, any questions, just pop them in the chat. And along the way, we are going to look in them, answer them, or maybe have a conversation with you guys. So, moving on to the next slide, I'll just go ahead and start. And I'll
Amazing.
start by saying that when we talk about stress, it's always good to know how do you define stress? Because my definition of stress is different from your definition in stress. And the reason why I say that is because we are all experiencing stress in different ways. And we tend to do two things when stress comes along the way. Some people react and some people respond. Those who react, they're very quick to getting into that state of, oh, I'm feeling stressed. But those who take time to respond, they, one way or another, without knowing, they use one of the stress management techniques, so they're able to handle that situation. So when you think about stress, how do you define stress? There are those who English dictionary says stress can be defined as a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from adverse or demanding circumstances. Myself, I choose to define stress as the power we give external situations to determine how we feel, to determine how the day goes. Like, because I didn't get that phone call from Madhurima, I started getting stressed. Stressed over what? I can pick the call and call Madhurima and tell her, yo, what's up? What's going on? And I'm not stressed anymore. If you live in a house and You can even describe stress as that tenant who is always, painting your house, doing all those, and they're not paying rent. So they're just costing you money all the time. That is what stress does to us. It is a silent killer. And the moment we start realizing what stress does to us, we realize the benefits and the importance of managing stress. So moving on to the next slide, please. When you think about stress, have you ever thought about how stress looks like? When you say you're stressed today, is it a straight line? Is it a line that has some spaces in? Is it looking like the clouds? Is it curvy? Because every time you say you're stressed, there's something that comes in your mind. Do you see the picture in your mind? And the moment you start paying attention to these things, you're able to realize where your triggers come from. So when you move on to the next slide, Mandurima.
Yeah, while I move on, I would just like to ask everyone, when you imagine stress, what do you imagine? Write it down in the comments so that we can see you interacting with us. And this, we can feel the energy from you guys. Tell us how you see stress. Woohoo!
I see clouds when I used to see stress. Anyway,
Yeah.
as we wait for the comments, I would like to state that most of the time when we get stressed, the things that stress us, they are facts. For example, the bills will not stop coming. You will have to pay for that rent. You'll have to put fuel in your car. You will have to eat. You will have to pay school fees. You'll have to load your phone bill. Those bills will keep coming up. But why do you allow them every month to stress you? You know you're supposed to pay a bill. And every month when I ask you, what's up? I'm stressed over rent. You knew rent was due. You knew you're not living in your house. So this is a fact. This is something that you know you're supposed to do, but you have allowed it to describe how you're going to feel. So every 28th, or if your rent is due on the 5th, you're stressed. You have a stomach upset. You have this, you have a headache, but you knew you were supposed to pay that rent. A day will not have more than 24 hours. We all have 24 hours. So why stress over it? How about if you manage the day, plan the day, sleep an hour less if you have more tasks to do? And when you do that, you reduce that trigger that comes at the end of the day, like, oh shucks, it's 12 midnight. I have not submitted this. I've not done that. I've not done this. You end up not sleeping well. And then the following day, you're fatigued. What happens when you're fatigued? You go into that state of stress. The other thing, your responsibilities will always be demanding. As we grow up, things will always change and you'll always advance. The more you grow, the more the responsibilities come. Buy that expensive car, fuel is more expensive. So your responsibilities will never change. So at the end of the day, all these things, they're facts that we have allowed to describe how we feel, to describe how we run our day, to describe the emotions we carry, how I relate with other people. We give these things the attention that they don't deserve. Moving on. So why should I pay attention to stress management? Somebody might ask me that, Jane, why? Why should I pay? This is something that has been happening ever since I was young, ever since, this has been happening. Adele says worried feelings, tired, aches, and pain. Very true. This is what happens. And when you pay attention to stress management, it helps you take care of your body, your mind, and generally your wellness. And that is why with Madhurima, we thought that in light of today's event, this is the best way to start the year, to learn how to manage stress. Because once you learn how to manage stress, your body is well, you're constantly well. When you say you're stressed, headache. I have headache because of stress. My stomach pains because of stress. And if you have prolonged stress, some people they lose weight, some people they gain weight. You have muscle pain. There's so many things associated with stress that land on the body. And that's why we say that when you pay attention to stress and manage stress, you are looking after your mind and body. And what it translates to, which has come from my own experience, the day I realized that I need to know how to manage stress, and this is how I can manage stress, I became more happier. My relationship with other people changed because whenever a trigger comes, I don't react. I respond. So I take my time to see, okay, how can I go about it? And we're going to give you some of the tips today. You're lucky you're here. So moving on. So I'm going to cover it from the NLP. For those who don't know what NLP is, it's neuro linguistic programming. And I'm going to tackle three. One is visualization, two is anchoring, and three is reframing. Let's move on. Starting with visualization. As the name suggests, visualization is the presentation of something. It could be an object or a situation as an image. As we start the year, everybody is telling us, visualize how you want your 2023 to be. What are they telling us? They're telling us to put 2023, we put it in an image, we just see how we want the year to flow. Do you want to be sad? Do you want to be happy? Do you want to have your bank account fat? What do you want in 2023? That is how we do visualization. The same thing with stress. When you think about stress management, do you want every time a trigger comes, you have all these headaches, you have these stomach upsets, or you want to see yourself at the end of that and oh yeah, I've knocked it. It didn't control me. I'm very good to go. Where do you want to see yourself? So whenever we get stressed, our minds get pressured, and this ultimately affects, if not everything, most of the things we are doing at the time. When I'm stressed, I deliver my work late. When I'm stressed, I relate very horribly with other people. I'm moody. Maybe even I slap my child for nothing because they came, Mommy, I'm like, leave me alone. But this child did nothing to me. And then after that is when you realize, like, oh, shucks, what did I do? So stress affects everything that is around us. Stress is something that drains us. It finishes all the energy that you have. So when you move on to the next slide, there are two types of visualization. One is visualization for relaxation and calmness. And I know Madhurima will touch a lot about relaxation and calmness in her presentation. And then the other one is creative visualization. So when we start with the first one, visualization for relaxation and calmness, here our goal is to remain calm. And some of the steps you can follow is one, find a private space where you're quiet, where there's no noise, where there's nobody disturbing you. It's just you who is there. Take some few minutes. Take deep breaths, breathe in and out, get yourself in the moment. Forget about everything that is out there. Forget about all the things that are going around you. It's just you in that space. Let's call it your own box inside there. And then once you're calm, close your eyes. And then once you've done the first step, move to step two. Imagine yourself in a beautiful location. If I can ask you right now, which is the location that comes in your mind? To some people, it's a beach. Others, maybe it's in the forest somewhere. Somebody else, maybe it's somewhere, somewhere beautiful, somewhere where you feel like, yes, I'm happy. I'm happy in this space. Imagine yourself smiling, feeling happy, and having a good time. Nobody's there to distract you. Nothing, even your phone is not there to distract you. It's just you. Maybe you're running somewhere with a kite, you're happy, you're genuinely happy. Move to that position. And then once you're in that position, I want you to engage this different sensory activities in your present scene. With that, what do I mean? I want you to use your senses. What do you see? What do you smell? What do you feel? What do you taste? What do you hear? Use all your senses. Employ all of them all together. Put them all there. That is why I'm saying you need to concentrate. You need to have you in that space. Nobody else is there. And then once you're in that moment, you're relaxed. Remain in that moment for about 5 to 10 minutes with all your senses engaged until you feel the calm and relax. Remember, this is your happy place. You're seeing yourself there. You're happy. You're smiling. Maybe you're smelling some jasmine. Maybe you're drinking something. You're just happy. You're tasting something good, strawberries or something. You're just there. It's just you. And then while you're in that state, assure yourself that you can return to this space whenever you want to be calm. So when you create that space, whenever you feel like you're stressed, what do? Or a trigger is coming your way, you just take, even if you can go to the bathroom and lock yourself there, go back to that location where you are happy. Remind yourself how it felt. And what happens is, when you come out of that situation, even if it's 1 minute you used, you come out relaxed. And how you were seeing this situation before you went in that state, when you come out, everybody will like, what happened to you? because it's different. You're more calm, you're more relaxed, you're not snapping, you're not throwing things around. You've come out more down, you're relaxed and you're relaxed. So with this type of visualization, you're able to remain relaxed, you're able to remain calm, and this helps you to respond to stress and not to react to stress. Remember, when you respond, you take your time to come up with solutions. When you react, automatically you snap. Why did you submit your project 5 minutes late? Why did you do this? With reaction, you're always doing the why questions. But with response, what happened that it made you deliver the work 5 minutes late? So Madhurima has the time to respond to me and tell me, okay, this is what happened, and then we work on that. Okay, we were supposed to do this, but you can do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So with the other type of visualization, type 2, this is where I know you become creative. And what do I mean by creative? Find a private space again, be calm, take the deep breaths, you are there. But with this one, you're not going to go to your happy place. You're going to go to a new thing. You're going to imagine yourself at the end of that stressful situation. See yourself, the problem has been solved. Now, pay attention to what is happening, the specific details of that environment. So I did not submit the project on time, or I'm not going to submit the project on time. So I should see myself at the end of this situation. How did I solve this situation? I am becoming creative when I'm thinking this way. What are the tangibles in that environment? What are you wearing? Who are you talking with? What are you saying? What do you see around you? When you do all these things with creative visualization, it's more of an equivalent of problem solving, because when I see myself at the end of that situation, what happens? I start coming up with solutions. How did I handle this? Okay, I need to call this person and explain that I'm going to be late to the project. This and this will happen. This and this will happen. So instead of me waiting for that moment to arrive, I start coming up with solutions. So with visualization, you have the goal in your head. And most of the time, people tell me, is visualization not the same as daydreaming? And to answer that question, no. With daydreaming, you have no direction, you're just moving. But with visualization, you have a goal. You want to solve this problem, or you want to remain relaxed. So, how can you put it into practice? Number one, be very specific. If you're specific with what you want, then you're going to be able to find the solutions. You're not vague. You know you want to do your presentation on time. So what are you going to do about that? Start coming up with the solutions. And then number two, be emotional. Use all your senses, because when you engage all your senses, you're present. You're all in, you're all there. So you're able to come up with all the answers that you need. Moving on. Now, after visualization, let's talk about anchoring. I know we've watched movies where there's a storm that is coming and the ship is in the middle of the storm. What happens? They put down the anchors. As small as it may look, it holds the ship, it gives it stability amidst the storm. And it's the same thing we're going to employ when we are stressed. In NLP, an anchor, it refers to an external stimulus that triggers a specific internal experience. So an anchor created by understanding a trigger and strengthening it to use to your advantage, so that you can evoke an emotion. So our brains, what happens is that our brains automatically create anchors in different ways. And I want you to take a moment and think of it this way. There's that music when it's played, you are always reacting. You always tell someone, no, switch off that music or change the music. It reminds me of someone, it reminds me of something. There's always something. Probably you're listening to a certain type of music, and then you got the news that you lost a loved one. So whenever you hear that music, you anchored that music with that person. So it reminds you the emotions of how you felt that day, they start coming back to you. Maybe I was eating pizza, I got a phone call, hey Jane, you got the job, blah da 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 da. I'm happy. So whenever I see pizza, what happens? I'm automatically happy. It didn't do it on purpose, but it just happened that when you are eating pizza, this is what happened. So whenever we do something with anchors they come with that's things that we do. So when you move on to the next slide, when you think about the things that make you happy or sad, you will realize that there is something that happened and you anchored it there to your emotions. Now, anchoring steps. Number one, what you do is recall a series of happy moments or memories where you were extremely happy. Maybe the happiest moment you had was maybe when you're getting engaged, when you're getting married, when you graduated, when you're a child and maybe somebody gave you a sweet, maybe when you got your driving license. We are all different and unique and we have different happiness triggers. So remember that time, recall that time that you had that happy moment. Once you have that memory, I want you to imagine how it felt when you were when you're in that moment. What were you seeing? What were you hearing? What were you feeling? Engage all your senses again. Use your eyes, your mind, everything. What happened that day when you're happy? Okay, I was getting engaged. So what happened? I was smiling. There was something happening around. There was this happening. Use all your senses around that. And then when you're experiencing these emotions, when you are at the peak, this is what you do. I want you to do something, a hand gesture that you don't usually do, something different. Some people, they do this. It's not every time you see me hugging myself. So this can be an anchor. Some people, they do this. You just do something unique to yourself that whenever you want to use that anchor, you can just stop and you hug yourself. Nobody knows what you're up to, but you know what you're doing. It is you, or you can tap yourself, whatever you want to do that is unique to you. And then you repeat that gesture repeatedly so that your brain anchors that as a happy moment or a positive emotion. So the next time you're feeling stressed, you repeat the anchor you formed in step 4. So if you did this, whenever you see a trigger coming your way, instead of reacting, you do this, you remind yourself, oh yes. And then now you start responding. You have stopped yourself from getting in that situation of headache, stomach ache, spending money on tablets, because stress is expensive. At the end of the day, stress is also expensive. Okay. So repeating anchoring step again, make sure you recall a happy moment. It can be when you are a child. You never know what happened at that time. We are all different. And then get all the emotions together, form your anchor, and then whenever you feel like a trigger is coming your way, don't react. Form your anchor. You can do anything, something even you can do under the table. Maybe you're in a meeting and you feel like, oh, I might get straight. Just do your anchor. Nobody will know what you're up to. So you get yourself back in that state. Now, let's move on to the next one, which is reframing. Thank you, Adele. That is beautiful. Like, yes, anchoring. Thank you, Brenda Liz. Now, I know we all have photo frames in the house. We all love putting photos, photos, photos. Every year you change photos. So you keep changing the photos from this one to this one to this one to this one. Probably you had one from 2010, now it's 2023. You changed the new year photo. That is reframing. And as the name suggests, reframing is placing something, maybe a picture in a new frame. Okay. It also means expressing something differently. It is very important for us to continuously work towards being the best versions of ourselves. To grow, we need to create space to learn. And so, what does that mean? All the negative things, all the negative emotions, you need to flip that script and make them positive. And I'm going to give a few examples if you move on to the next slide. Sorry. So some of the examples you can use are what? Start by thinking about a negative or challenging situation in a positive way. Flip the script. A good example I can give is a parent states that their child is very aggressive when playing with other students. So when this parent says, my child is very aggressive. But what if we ask this parent, reframe that statement and ask yourself, have you considered utilizing a sport that their child's behavior can be utilized? What happens in that situation? Instead of being stressed or entering the stress position that my kid cannot play with other kids, you start thinking of the sport where that energy is needed. Maybe that kid can play rugby, can do something. You start becoming resourceful instead of landing into that pit of stress. The other thing is evaluate the evidence at hand. Is it really a stress trigger, or it's just in your mind that, okay, it's supposed to be stressed? Is it really you have to become a detective of your own. Start asking yourself, what are the facts in this? Is it really a stress trigger? Maybe you're about to do a presentation or you're about to go for an interview, and then you're like, what if I fail? You start getting stressed. You have not even gone into that interview. Reframe that, evaluate the situation. Tell yourself, Jane, you have prepared for that presentation, you are ready for that interview. So whatever happens after that is beyond you. And another way you can do that is when you are doing evaluating the evidence, have two platforms. Is it in my control? Is it not in my control? If it is in my control, ask yourself, what can I do to make this situation better? And when you do that, again, you become resourceful. If it's something not in your control, ask yourself the same question. What can I do to make this situation better? Probably I'm going to submit an email late, or I'm going to submit my presentation late. I can always send an email and say, I'm going to be late because of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. I have solved the problem. Whatever happens after that is beyond me. I am going for a meeting, I experience a flat tire. Is it in my control? Yes, I can fix the tire, but maybe I'll still be late. What can I do about that situation? Pick up the phone, call Paul, tell Paul I'm going to be late. This is what has happened. However Paul decides to react or respond, that's up to him, because I have done my part. So it is beyond me. It's not even allowed to stress me. So whenever you feel like you are getting that trigger, do the evaluation, find the evidence, draw the tree, become a detective, put pins everywhere, become creative, and you'll find fun when you're doing that. And then the other thing is, reframe the words that you use to describe yourself. When you look at yourself in the mirror, what do you say? Oh, Jane, you're a failure, you cannot do this, she's better than you, or this. These negative words that we use on ourselves, they get to affect us. They get to take all our energy. Instead of saying, I can't get through this, what if I tell myself I am strong and resilient? I keep reminding myself, Jane, you're strong and resilient, you're strong and resilient, you're strong and resilient. Which one is better? I am strong and resilient. If I was saying I'm a failure or I cannot get through this, or this is never going to end. What if you remind yourself, well, you know what, no season lasts, everything must come, even the year ends, so it will come to pass. Another example, all my plans are ruined. Maybe something happened. How do you change that? Plans change. I can adapt. Maybe it happened for a good reason. Maybe it was a way for you to become more creative. So, all these are examples of how you can reframe words. Stop saying you're a failure. Yes, the project did not go well. I am learning. Every day is a learning experience. And once you have that in mind, instead of going home feeling sad, your shoulders are down, and all that, you keep asking yourself, well, what happened today? Ask yourself the difficult questions, because the moment you do that, the next time this happens, the next time you're doing a presentation somewhere, you have learned what to do. And then stop overthinking on other people's reaction. Ladies and gentlemen, however people decide to react, most of the time it has nothing to do with you. But we put a lot of pressure on our shoulders. Oh, he looks angry. What did I do? Why do you keep accusing yourself? Why do you keep putting yourself in that situation where you are the problem? No, you're not the problem. It's not you. You have nothing to do with that. So when we start removing that, when we stop reacting, actually this is reacting. Respond, ask them what is going on, what is wrong. And they will tell you, you know what, today at work this happened. It has nothing to do with you. So the moment we come to realize these things, we are distancing ourselves from all the stress triggers. Make sure you look after yourself. Make sure you distance yourself from all the triggers. Identify the triggers. And the other thing I will add here is, do the, what is it called, investigation again. When do I get stressed mostly? Okay, it seems I get stressed a lot when I'm with so and so. Why do I get stressed when I'm with so and so? Try and find out the reasons so that you are able to solve those problems. Okay, my manager stresses me. Why does my manager stress me? Find the reasons so that the next time you're with her, you know how to react. You can even form your anchor. When you're with her, you just do your anchor under the table. You go in your happy place, you come back, you can even start singing a happy song and all that, but don't allow stress to wallow you or stress to bring you down. I'm moving on. So That brings me to the end of my presentation. Number one, make sure you do anchoring. Number two, reframing. Number three, visualization. And don't forget to ask yourself, is it in my control? Is it not in my control? This makes you to become resourceful. This makes you to start coming up with solutions. Instead of sitting at home, sleeping the whole day, I am stressed, you're losing time. And remember, a day has 24 hours. So the more you stay at home, thinking of how you would have done that, that is the past. It's done. 2022 is gone. So when we think about, oh, 2022 I should have done this, it's gone. It's either who said it's either one day or day one. You decide. Do you want to keep telling yourself, I used to be good, but now? No. Start now. Stop stressing yourself. Stress is something that we can manage. So thank you so much for listening to me. Moving on to the next slide. I hope you have enjoyed the session. And now stick around for our next speaker, Madhurima.
Hello,
Yay!
hello. Woohoo. Oh my gosh, Jane, that was amazing. I learned so much. I was like, you know what? I should just leave now and I should just sit and listen to Jane. I was like, why? It was so powerful, so impactful. A lot of the points that you made was so amazing. I would love to touch upon a few of them. One is our body. This is so huge. A lot of the times, and we are going to cover up how we can release stress from our body, but our body catches stress on really quickly, right? So
Mhm,
for a really long time, our body is used to act from the sympathetic nervous system, which is a fight flight freeze response, and
mhm,
our body is used to stress. So it kind of hogs into our body. There are pressure points. That's why a lot of times people are like, oh, I'm stressed, my back is all knotted up, I'm feeling tension in my back, I'm feeling tension in my neck. These are all the places where energy stores up and you actually feel the stress in your body. So oh my god, it was amazing. You made so many amazing points. I could go on and on. I could write a thesis on your presentation only. It was seriously amazing. All right, so let's go into understanding the uniqueness of stress. I am so excited for you guys to be here. Thank you so much for sticking around. Thank you so much for listening to Jane's amazing presentation. Here's what I will be talking about. I need to share this really important thing, which is understanding the uniqueness of stress. I remember Charmin posting this, that there can be good stress. Everyone reacts to stress differently. So I need to kind of bring it all down. And here's what usually happens: we are all specific, unique individuals. So things that possibly stress me out could be in the zone of genius for Jane. And that stress might motivate her. So she would be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Let me get this done. And I would be like melting in the corner and melting into a puddle. I'll be like, what is happening? Someone help me. That is very unique to every individual. What stresses me out cannot stress Jane out, and what possibly stresses Jane out would not stress me out as much. So there are different aspects of stress. It all boils down to having a lot of self awareness, having an understanding of, well, what am I responding to, what am I reacting to. So let's break down the cycle really quickly. How stress starts to kind of affect us. There might be a trigger event, there might be something that's triggering you that connects with your memories, thoughts, instincts. You have all these things, like Jane was mentioning. You listen to a song, and that was the song where you heard that someone passed away, your loved one passed away. Or there's a song which reminds you of the time when you got hired, maybe you're eating pizza. So we react to different things instinctually, and stress by default is not good or bad, it just is. It all boils down to how we respond to it. So we have a trigger event, it connects with our memories, thoughts, instincts. Now this then triggers our fight, flight, or freeze, or fawn or faint response. Let me break this down really quickly. So the fight response is when you are like, I see you, there's something happening, I have to fight, because if I fight, I can survive. The flight response is, oh, I see this, I can't fight this, so I'm going to run away, right? The freeze response, and this is something that usually happens, you must have heard of the term deer in the headlights, right? The deer just stops. The deer can easily run away when it's crossing a road and it sees a car coming towards it. It's the freeze response because that's all it can do. So the deer freezes, so we freeze as well. There is the fawn response, which basically is all about almost people pleasing, which is something that a lot of people do. There's the people pleasing aspect of it, where you people please so that you walk out of danger. And this is something that we see a lot in today's day and age, where we as intelligent human beings fawn over someone else so that they can protect us. They can either fight for us, they can help us run away, or they just help us, or they get us out of that stress situation. Or the worst response is faint, when we can't handle responding to stress, so we faint, or reacting to stress, so we faint. So these things trigger, and then we react or respond to a particular situation. Really amazing thing about this entire process is, if you have really good awareness about yourself, if you see a trigger event happening, you can instinctually stop yourself and be like, hold on, this is something that usually triggers me. What can I do now? How can I respond to this instead of reacting to this? Or if you feel that something is triggering your memory, something is triggering your thoughts, something is triggering your instincts, you're like, hold on, I know this connected to this, and this memory holds a lot of pain for me. This instinct scares me. And so I either have the option to run, to react to it, or I have the option of stepping back, thinking logically, and responding to it. Which, moving forward, we will kind of get into the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. So the sympathetic nervous system is the part of our body that usually helps us. It's like instinct. It is what helped us survive. It is what helped our ancestors survive for a really long time, right? They didn't have the intelligence, especially the cave people, right? They didn't have the intelligence of, let me have a conversation with this thing. They probably tried to have a conversation with the lion that was coming to eat them, and that didn't work. So that was like, okay, I can't. I have to figure out that every time I see a lion, I have to run away. And now, maybe in today's day and age, we don't see a lion, but we see, oh, every time my phone goes ping, I know that this is something that is going to stress me out. So I have to react to it instinctually. This is my survival response, right? It basically shuts off all our systems that are not necessary. What does those systems look like? It shuts off metabolism, it shuts off our reproductive system, it shuts off all these unnecessarily things, right? Like it even stops sending that energy to our parasympathetic nervous system, which is the logical side of the brain, because our entire body is in the response of, we need to fight, we need to run away, we need to freeze, fawn, or faint. So it basically shuts off systems that are not important and powers up systems that are really crucial to survival. These systems can look like a respiratory system. You might notice that every time you are stressed out, you either go or you breathe so slowly, you can't, you just freeze. You just can't breathe properly. You do very shallow breaths. So all these things happen. Your heartbeat is going crazy, you're getting ready to run. There are all these things that happen. Our muscles are tensed up, we are reacting really quickly to everything that's happening. We are gathering up information around us to see what can help us fight, what can help us run away. There are all these things that are happening. We are basically in the survival response. In the stress aspect of this, short term response is great. So I was sharing earlier that stress is can actually be good to you. It can be good for you in short term. These bursts of energy, these bursts of focusing and our entire intention towards either running away, or it can be even a presentation, right? We feel our heartbeat going dug 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 every time we are in a presentation. We The short time response is really good. Long term gets harmful, and long term is what we are in right now. We usually are stressed out for long durations of time because we are stressed out about literally everything that's happening around us. And in the long term, if you think about it, if your heart is constantly beating fast, your blood pressure is really high, your muscles are constricted, you start to get high bp, there are chances of you getting heart disease. You get like senses of asthma. You have all these different issues that kind of pop up because we are not used, our body is made to react and respond to stress for a really short period of time rather than a long period of time. Our parasympathetic nervous system, however, responds based on logic. There's the cognitive response to it. We are relaxed, it relaxes our body and muscles. This is what usually happens. And our body has a system to switch into parasympathetic after the stress is over. So we relax. Our systems that were shut down previously start again. It relaxes the system that was powered up during stress response. So you notice that after a stressful situation is over, you start to breathe normally, your heartbeat calms down, and this can be extremely helpful to hit the brakes and counter stress positively. I know a lot of you are in there. We joined this call to learn about how we can manage stress. Why is Madhurima giving us a lecture about stress? This is really important because you need to understand that, oh, if this is happening, if I am reacting to this, I am reacting from the survival response rather than the logical aspect. Let me switch over. Let me switch over to the parasympathetic nervous system, and we will learn more about how we can do that. I'm going to share with you 8 instant techniques to manage stress. Now, there are long term techniques that you can try, techniques that you can try on a daily basis, and there are techniques that you can try instantly. If you find yourself in the survival response, if you find yourself in the stress response, and you need to switch to the parasympathetic nervous system, these techniques will be split into grounding, breathwork, meditation, and somatics. Let's go. All right, grounding, the self hug technique. This is a technique that I usually use. Yeah, Jane, let's go. This is a technique that I usually use within my coaching sessions. Every time I feel like the person in front of me is reacting to something that's happening within in this space. Maybe they won't even realize that they're reacting to it, but they're reacting to something, and we need to come back to the space where we can logically process our emotions and think about what's happening. So for anyone out there, this is a really cool thing you can do. Is you can take your right hand and hold it like this in the shape of an L, and then you put it underneath your left armpit, right? And then you press down, and you use your left hand and you hold yourself tightly, you hold your forearm tightly, and then you breathe. Do this a couple of times, and this will, even if you do it for a few minutes, you breathe till you feel centered, and you'll actually feel centered. You'll feel yourself calming down, because this tells our body that we are safe, we are secure, we are here. This is everything, this is the place that we need to be in, right? Maybe it's happening before a meeting, maybe it's happening before an interview. Go into the bathroom, give this a try, and just breathe till you feel yourself centering down, and be like, hey, okay, like Jane said, what is in our control and what is not in our control? I have prepared for everything that I could possibly prepare for. What happens in the meeting is not in my control. I will try to control as much as I can, but if something is out of my control, I am going to recognize it, and I'm going to leave it up to fate. I know when I say this, a lot of people are like, oh my God, what are you trying to say? We need to control everything. No, you don't. Let the universe take care of things. Let God, whoever you believe in, take care of things. Why do you want to stress yourself by holding on to things that are not in your control? Let it go. I know that sounds so carefree, but this is something that's really powerful, because for a really long time I was the stressed out child. I was the ambitious kid who was always trying to be the topper of the class, who was always trying to do everything in my life possible to make sure that I was reaching the heights. So I was extremely stressed out. And for me, stress was a part of my life. And I didn't think there could exist a time where I wasn't stressed out. But after learning all these techniques, I was like, I can exist without stress. I don't need this to help me. I don't need stress to help me live my life. Right? So give this self hug technique a try, and see if it helps you ground really quickly or not. The five senses technique, this is something that Charmin once again mentioned in the call. So the five things that you can do is: five things that you see, four things that you can touch, three things that you hear, two things that you can smell, and one thing that you can taste. This is a five sense technique that you can try out, but what I've done is I've evolved it a bit more, and I kind of Pavloved myself, basically. So I was like, if I see, I don't know how well you can see this, but I have a tattoo on my arm, which is my anchor, which is one of my biggest anchors. I'm like, if I see this, I know I'll be okay. Right? If I am around my family, I know I'll be okay. If I'm feeling stressed out, I put on lavender scent lavender aroma, candles, whatever, whatever. And I know that if I smell lavender, I know that everything is fine. I know everything is safe, right? So pick out things when you're Pavloving yourself, pick out things that you usually carry and pick out things that maybe are present in your surroundings. It can be crystals in your workspace, it can be candles, it can be things that you like to have on you. You can carry your own chocolates. Be like, every time I eat this chocolate, I know everything's fine in the world, right? And it's a very good reason to buy a lot of your favorite chocolate, but carry around chocolates. Be like, every time I eat this, I know that I'll be fine, right? And one huge tip that I would like to give is a really great way to ground yourself is actually shock yourself. I know this sounds crazy, and I'm not asking you to put your hand in socket and shock yourself literally, but basically, if I saw this technique on TikTok where people really bite into a lemon, and that citricness, that acidity kind of shocks them and brings them back, which is really great for panic attacks, because we are all in there, and something that shocks you, quite literally, you go, ugh, and then you're like, hold on, what was I doing right now? How was I responding? Why was I responding to this in this particular way? Right? So have five senses, have five things around you that you can see, hear, touch. You have all these amazing things available to you, right? If you touch yourself, if you touch a necklace that you might carry, right? If you can have a lot of different things around you, stress balls. Every time you see this, every time you touch this, every time you hear this, a favorite song of yours that might calm you down, hear, eat, do the five senses thing, and Pavlov yourself into being like, every time this happens, I know that I'm safe, I know that I'm here, and I know that I am capable enough of actually figuring out what I need to do, because you are. Let me be real with you guys. You are amazing. You have survived for so long. It's time we thrive. With that, I want to tell you about this quick breathwork technique. This is the 1-2 breathwork technique where you basically, if you are looking at this presentation, you know that the ball, every time the ball goes up, you breathe in, you hold, and then when the ball comes down, you breathe out slowly. If you don't have this in front of you, it's basically you breathe in for 2 seconds, breathe out for four. You breathe in for 4 seconds, you breathe out for eight. It's the 1:2 ratio of breathing, right? So you go, and when you're breathing out, you can breathe out through your mouth because it actually helps you calm down, helps you relax. This is a technique that has helped me out a lot. It can be elevated by you holding your fingers to your pulse, and notice that every time you breathe in, your pulse quickens, and every time you breathe out, your pulse decreases, like it slows down, right? So when you have that physical understanding of, oh, look, I am calming down, I don't need to stress out anymore, I don't need, like, I can think logically, it's great. The second thing is a lion's breath. Now, this activity is really funky. I am not going to lie. It's a funky activity. You can try this when you are on your own. But for you guys, because I love you all so much, everyone who's attending right now, I'm going to demonstrate it. Obviously, there are multiple variations of this. You can sit down on your knees, your butt touching your heel. You can sit down on the floor, and what you can do is you breathe out like a lion would when they are roaring, or like, right? And you let your tongue literally go down as much as it can while you focus your eyes on the top, right? So I'm going to demonstrate it for you guys. It looks like this. Right? You actually do it for as long as possible. You go, I know this sounds really weird, it looks really weird, but it actually helps you out a lot, because a lot of times we hold tension in our jaw, right? We hold tension in our jaw, we hold tension in our forehead, around our eyes, around all this face. Like, our face tenses up a lot. So doing this actually helps you relax and get back to yourselves. It goes, and you do that as many times as you possibly can. I saw a few comments in there. Cold showers, so amazing. It genuinely helps you ground really quickly. The technique that I showed you, I sometimes try it, the self hug technique. I sometimes try it when I'm in the shower. Cold shower shocks you, warm shower actually gets you back into the place where you're like feeling safe. And then in the hot shower, you feel, ah, Your body relaxes, your muscle relaxes, and it helps you relax your entire body, right? So I use that technique a lot. Shout out to whoever said that. That was huge. Yes, let's go. Amazing. Meditation. Now, with meditation, there are two forms of it. There are many forms of meditation. I'm not even gonna lie. We have the classic understanding of meditation being, oh, I need to sit down, close my eyes, and focus on something for 5 minutes, or sit in silence for 15 minutes, or sit in silence for 45 minutes. Yo, you can meditate however you want to. There is no right or wrong way to meditation. Meditation is a space where you feel aware of yourself, where you're aware of everything that is happening around you and within you, especially within you. Meditation is bringing that focus from outside to inside, right? And you can do this while you are dancing around, you can do this while you're singing, you can do this while you're cleaning your house, you can do this at literally any point of time. It doesn't need to be, I am going to sit down for 5 minutes, or I'm going to force myself to sit down for 20 minutes and not think about anything. It's when you bring that focus internally, and you're just in awareness of what's happening within. Now, there are two types of doing this meditation. One, and I'm obviously going to share two types here, but with the touch meditation, what I'd like you to do is simply, like the photo shows, place a palm on your on your chest, and place a palm on your belly, and just relax, right? Feel your heart beating against your palm, and feel when you're taking those deep breaths, you can feel your stomach move in and move out, right? Because of how deeply you're breathing, your diaphragm moves in, moves out, and you breathe in, your stomach goes in and out, right? Your diaphragm expands, it relaxes. You feel that somatic way of actually feeling the way you're breathing. It helps you calm down, it helps you bring back your attention. And one thing that I really like about this is when you place your hand on your chest, it, and you feel your heart beat against your palm, it's really reassuring. Because a lot of times when we are stressed out, we are like, oh my gosh, I'm in danger, I'm gonna die. Your heart is beating, you're breathing safely, you're here. That's more than enough. That is enough motivation and enough awareness for you to realize that you got this going forward, right? You can think about stuff logically and get out there. Now, with the nature aspect of meditation, what you can do, and this is something that I love to do, is I actually go out, I press my feet into the grass, I go out and I touch a tree, I put my hand in running water. There are a lot of ways when you can go back in nature and meditate. And the reason why this is so important is, a lot of times we are very self-centered, right? Everything is happening to me, I don't have anyone. I mean, I'm not saying that this is the reality, but sometimes when we are stressed out, when we are overwhelmed, that becomes a reality where it's all about us and how much life sucks for us, right? We stop to see the beauty of things around us. So, with the nature meditation, it actually helps you see that, oh, life is happening around us, life is happening through us, life is happening for us. There are so many ways that things are going on in here. We don't need to be stressed out. Again, I know this sounds crazy, like, oh, we don't need to be stressed out. Madhurima, you're being so, you're just trying to show off in here, like, yeah, we don't need to be stressed. But no, actually think, why do I need to be stressed out about this? What is this doing me? Is this doing any good for me? Is this actually serving me? Or is this just a reaction that I am used to? Is this just a way of me to respond whenever something happens and it doesn't go according to my way? Whenever I see a particular thing, why do I need to respond to this? Is this actually helping me? It might have helped me in the past, it might have helped me survive, but do I need this right now? If not, it's time to respond, right? So with nature, you actually focus on everything that's happening around you. You take from the nature and you give back to the nature. You feel how much of the universe, how much of God, whoever you believe in, is pouring into this world just to keep things moving. And that same energy is pouring into you as well. So it helps you relax, calm down, and get back to yourself. Whew, so good. All right. Somatics. Somatics is our body, right? This is our somatic body. This is what we feel in. And like I was mentioning earlier, every time we are stressed out, we feel stress stock up in our body, we feel it in our body. So a really great way to actually get the stress out of you is dance. Just move your body. You can do whatever you want to do, but move your body and see how much it helps you relax, see how much it helps you get back to yourself. You see a lot of people, after a stressful week of work, they go to a bar, they might drink, they might go to a pub, and they might dance their stress away. There is literally a phrase for it: I'm a dance my stress away, right? It's because when you're dancing, you relax your muscles, you loosen up, you relax everything that has been holding you on, you relax all that tension and you let it go. So dance is a really great way to relax that stress. I would actually recommend you to have a playlist called stress beating up stress or something like that. Yeah, shake it out of your body. Woohoo, let's go, Adele. um Basically, you have this playlist, and every time you feel stress coming up, you put on a song and go through the songs and say, oh, I love the song, I'm gonna dance to it. And you actually dance to it, and it actually gets out of your body. You feel yourself calming down, you feel all of that nervous energy. A lot of times this is what happens when we are responding to stress, or when we are reacting to stress. We just don't react, right? If, let's say, we are pissed off at our boss for saying something, and we are like, oh my god, how could he say this, but you probably won't say it out loud, right? You'll just be like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna shut my mouth and I'm gonna be here and I'm gonna just mumble over this. I'm gonna vent to my parents, or I'm gonna vent to my partner, or I'm gonna get that energy out. But you don't necessarily get it out. That stress, all those chemicals are still built up. You're basically a walking pile of chemical stew, because we don't have the usual techniques to get that energy out. All that fight, flight, freeze response, all of that chemicals are still budding in, it's overflowing from your body. So dance is a great way to break that cycle. It's a great way to complete the cycle, right? Here's a quick example of that. If, for example, back when our ancestors, right, they saw a lion, they're like, oh, a lion, we need to hunt it. When they're hunting it, their adrenaline is flowing through the body. They hunt it, they bring it back, they eat it, or they, whatever they do, they get rid of the lion, and then the stress cycle is complete, because whatever they had to do, they did. But we don't. We hold it in within ourselves. So dancing is a great way to get that energy out, is a great way to break the cycle. It's a great way to let all of that tensed upness come out of your body. The clench and release technique. This is basically something that, if you don't like, I saw someone, Mel, says that walking helps stress. It really, really helps stress, right? Sometimes when people who are not athletic enough, they are like, oh well, we don't want to dance, we don't want to do this, there's all these things, right? So a really quick way to release stress, if you are not in the space of, I want to dance, I want to walk, I want to jog, I want to get that energy out, if you can't do that, or if you're not in a space to do that, here's what you can do. Start from your fingertips. You basically clench and you release, right? You do that with your arms, you do that with your forearm, you clench and you release. You do it with your shoulder, you squeeze and you release, right? You do it with your toes, you do it with your entire body, you even do it with your eyes. You can go, you do it with your mouth. Doing all these things is a great way to release all of the stress that has been stocked up in our body. So yeah, with that, I want to share a few extra tips that you can try out if you're feeling stressed out. Number one, screaming. This is something that one of my coaches told me to do, and it is basically called a primal scream. Every day, you schedule a time, let's say 3 p.m., and you have had a stressful day at work, and you know that after going back home, you have a lot of things to do at home. You have to take care of your babies, you have to take care of your children, you have to cook dinner. There's so many things that's going on. Basically, you sit in your car, lock everything down, and then you scream at the top of your voice. You go, ah, right? And for everyone out there, I challenge you, actually scream it out loud. Scream, ah! You scream as much as you can. Let it all go out of your body, right? You scream, and it is actually going to help you out a lot. It might screw up your throat, I am not gonna lie, but it is a really good exercise for you to try. Crying. We instinctually do this. A lot of times when we are feeling stressed out, there are times when we stress out so much that we start to cry, right? And after crying, we notice that, oh, well, now I know what to do. I just needed a good cry, right? Crying actually is something that gets our entire body going. We sob, we get our, our, basically, our chest goes, we're crying, our entire body is moving, we are sobbing with our entire body, right? When that happens, after that you complete the stress cycle, and you are in a space where you can think logically, because that energy is now gone. You can relax yourself and you can think logically about everything that's happening. So this is something that I do, I'm not gonna lie. There's this movie called PS I Love You, and I know that every time I watch that movie I am going to cry. So there are days when I'm extremely stressed out, or after an extremely stressful week, right? No matter how much you try, there are times when you are stressed out about everything that's happening around. I do a good crying session. And it's so good. Oh my god. It actually helps me out so much, because after that I can actually drink a lot of water and go to sleep. And I know that everything's fine. I needed a good sob. That's it. Right? So genuinely, genuinely helps. Laughing. This is something I don't know how many people have it in there. Please let me know in the comments. But here in India, there is the laughing club, right? Like we see all these old retired people actually stand in the park and go, ha 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 ha. Right? Like they do it with their entire body. They stand, they bend down, and then they go up like this, ha 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 ha, and they laugh with their entire heart. That helps as well. The next thing, obviously, sleep. Get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Sleep is the most essential thing in your life. If you're not sleeping properly, when you're sleep deprived, a lot of people have this, right? Like, I'm going to burn the midnight oil, I am going to work, I am going to work so hard, I don't need sleep. 2 hours of sleep is more than enough for me. 3 hours of sleep is more than enough for me. No, it's not. You'll probably end up being hospitalized if you keep doing that for a long period of time. You need sleep, your body needs to rest. You imagine genuinely your heart pumping away blood at the top speed because you're constantly stressed out. Your heart doesn't have a chance to relax. That's so freaky, right? Like if you were to run your motor, imagine having a car, you're running your motor, right? And you keep running it, keep running it, keep running it. You don't fill in fuel, you don't add fuel to it, you don't let your motor relax. Eventually it's going to start smoking, it is going to catch fire, or it is going to shut down. That is what happens to us as well. We are no better than robots, we are no better than cars that need its engine fixed, fuel added to it, and some rest time. Make sure that you do all these things. Rest is really, really, really important. So yeah, last thing that I'd like to say is, one of the biggest things that you can do to manage your mind body wellness in this journey is to practice. Try out different things. There are a lot of tips that me and Jane shared in this call with you guys today. Give everything a try. See what works for you, what doesn't work for you. As I stress, stress is very unique to every individual. So see what actually helps you with the stress and what doesn't. Whatever does, take that, amplify it according to your own self, according to your own unique being, and give it a try every single day. Yeah, that's it. Even a single step can be huge in the way. It creates ripples in your journey. Give everything a try. I hope that you enjoyed today's session. With that, we are opening up space for Q&A. Thank you so much for sticking around till the end.
Thank you so much. When you were talking, it made me think that most of the things you're sharing, there are things that we can do, basic things that we can do in our everyday activities that prevent
Yeah.
us from getting into the stress triggers. And you mentioned something about ancestors, and it made me think some of the things we call stress or stress triggers is because we observed our parents or the people around us when we were growing up. And then
Mm,
we adopted that and we started saying that, yes, this is a stressful situation. But if you sit down and ask yourself, what makes this situation stressful? You have no reason. You have no answer for that. It's just
yeah.
because you saw your mom or your dad saying this is a stressful situation, you adopted that, and you moved on with that. So some of the things we call them triggers or things that stress us, they're not even supposed to be stressing us. And then the
Yeah.
other thing I wanted to mention from presentation, there are three essentials for managing stress. One of them was sleep, which you mentioned. Another one is diet, and another one is exercise. Once we learn to master the three, the DES, diet, sleep, and exercise, we start realizing that all these hormones that trigger us to become stressed all the time, they don't happen. Because if you remember, we said if you don't sleep enough, what happens? You become stressed the following day. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention, have fun. Everything you mentioned is about having fun. Have fun. And that's why we started by saying, let's have some music, let's dance
Yeah.
out, enjoy, and then the lion's breath. I know most people, including me, will do that in the mirror tonight. I promise. I know most people.
Yay, let's go. Yeah, I love that. And you know what? I wanted to touch up on the thing that you mentioned with the ancestors. I was actually reading about Carl Jung and how he spoke about a lot of times those memories, they
Mhm,
are a part of our DNA, that becomes a part of our DNA, and so we learn to react. Like, if for example, how do we know that if we see a lion we need to run away? Maybe in today's day and age we see it in the TV, we learn about it in the books, but back
uh-huh,
then when there was not as much information or not as much connectivity as there is now, how did people know? How would someone who is kind of shut off from the tribe still know that if I see something dangerous walking my way, I need to run away or I need to fight this,
mm,
right? How would people know that, oh, you know what? I see a deer, I need to run away. No, 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 I can fight this, right? I can maybe eat this. This is something
yeah,
that will help me with survival. Or how do you know that, if I eat this poison, if I eat this berry, it can be poisonous, it can be not. You never know. All these things are actually in our memory, it's actually in our genetics, in our DNA. And
mm,
so when we reframe that, this is what is also called breaking the generational trauma. A
yeah,
lot of time that trauma has passed on for a really long time and it doesn't serve us any longer. There's no need to for us to freak out
mhm,
about, if I was overthinking tonight about, oh my god, what happens if a wild animal attacks me? That's useless. That might have been something that used to freak out my ancestors, but it's useless for me because I am not in a space where a wild animal is going to attack me. At the most my dog is going to jump on me and scratch me a bit for not giving it attention, but that's about it. That's the only wild animal that exists. So a lot of times we carry forward all of those things, it's in our DNA. So it's time, you can obviously, you can either take this and work with it, or you can
mm,
pass it on and hope that the next generation deals with it. This is hard work, right?
yeah,
Stress
very,
management is fun, it's easy, it's great, but it is also hard when, because you have to invest the time. You have to
mm,
think about, ah, do I need to work on this now? Or you know what, I'm gonna drink away my fears, or I'm gonna, I'm gonna do something dangerous and reckless to
mm,
get all of this out of me. You can either do that, or you can take the easy way out and actually work, easy and hard way out, and actually work on yourself. So yeah, Aya says, do you believe in good stress? Yes, I do. There is something called as the stress cycle, and I can go on and on about it. But basically, it's a bell curve shaped cycle, and it talks about how there are times when, if we are not stressed out, there is no motivation. We actually go into a space called bore out, which is similar to burnout, but opposite only in the fact that there is nothing stressing us out, nothing motivating us. Then we go into the comfort zone where there's a good amount of stress and we are like, we are going about our day, we are having fun, we can do this very easily. That becomes our comfort zone. Then we reach the pinnacle of the bell curve, and that's where we have enough amount of stress to motivate us and to get things done really quickly, so our productivity is at an all time high. So the comfort zone and the optimal spot is basically where you are in the good stress space, right? And you don't necessarily always have to be in the optimal spot. You can come back to the comfort zone, dabble a bit in the optimal spot, come back to the comfort zone. Beyond that point, if the stress keeps on increasing, your productivity starts to decrease, and
yeah,
it goes into the batch. You start to feel fatigue, you start to feel, oh my gosh, something's happening, I need to do something, I need to do something. You enter
mhm,
the bad stress aspect of it, and if the stress keeps piling up, then eventually you enter into the space of burnout, right? So it all comes down to, as I was mentioning at the very beginning of this session, is that it all comes down to awareness and understanding how stress affects you uniquely. Is this
mm,
something that is motivating me? Like, oh, I see so many people around me excelling in their roles as coaches. Now I can either take that as a bad stress and overwhelm myself and beat myself up that, oh my gosh, Madhurima, you're so stupid, you can't get anything done. Say so many bad things to me, just like Jane was explaining in her presentation earlier. Or I can be like, these amazing people can do it. I can do it as well. Let me learn from them. Let me reach out to them. Hey, what are you doing? Tell me so that I can learn from you guys. I need help with this. Right?
Mhm.
It all comes down to perspective. It all comes down to understanding how you're responding to a particular thing and actually asking yourself, is this particular reaction or response serving me or is it not? Yeah, Jane, if you have anything to add on
Yeah,
to that.
actually, what I wanted to say is that what you've said in the last line, it's how we react or respond to a situation. And then there's something else called eustress. Eustress
Mm,
is positive stress at the same time. It's a type of stress response that we feel when we're excited. There's that time you're excited over something, there's that thrill, but it gives you stress and all that. There has been a lot of comments. I've seen another question. Hello, Maddie and
yeah,
Jane. What practical tips can you give for those who are struggling to find some quality time for themselves? Thank you.
nice.
Thank you, Charmaine, for the question. And I think what I can say is if you're struggling to find some quality time for yourself, there's that space in the house where you can find quality time. And number one, it might sound funny, the bathroom, because that's the only space you have where nobody come and knock. If every other part of the house there is no space for you, use the bathroom. Nobody's going to disturb you in the bathroom. Take that space for yourself. Most of us we have bigger bathrooms, so you can even go with your mat there and do your yoga, whatever you want to do there for like 5 or 10 minutes. So you have to create or you wake up very early before anybody else. At least you get 5 or 10 minutes to yourself. I don't know if Madhurima, you have something to add there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Sharmin, that's a wonderful question. My
Mm,
question to you would be this. My question to you as a coach would be this. What does quality time mean for you? Right? Figure out what having quality time for yourself looks like. Does it look like reading comics, which is a huge way of me spending quality time with myself? Is it taking longer showers? Is it playing with your pets? Figure out what quality time looks for you. A great add on to what Jane already said is, this is something that I recommend to literally every person that I coach, is you can stay on the bed when you
mm.
wake up, spend 5 more minutes in there, right? In the comfort, and give yourself that space where you can just be with yourself before things start to happen, before things start to go crazy, before you get up and get into the hustle of life. Those 5 minutes in the bed when you wake up, you've switched off your alarm, you're like, oh my gosh, I want to go back to sleep. Instead of doing that, you can sleep obviously if you want to, but instead of doing that, if that 5 minutes you spend giving yourself that quality time, it's huge. And again, it kind of falls back into understanding different ways that you can spend quality time with yourself. What I mean is, don't just have one way to spend quality time with yourself, right? Like for example, I love to dance, but there are days when I don't like to dance at all, right? And there are days when I wake up and I'm just irritated with everything, I'm just annoyed with everything. In moments like that, I look at funny videos, I look at motivational videos, or maybe I read some comics, because that helps me feel like a child again, it makes me feel like a kid again, right? It can be as simple as eating your favorite dessert from childhood, it can be as simple as jumping into some puddles when it's raining, right? It can be very very simple, it can be whatever it looks like for you. So figure out, a great tip would be, sit down with yourself for at least, when you are coaching yourself or when you have time for yourself, and make a list of all the ways that you can spend quality time with yourself, and then divide that list into, oh, how long is this going to take? Is this a 1 minute task? Is this a 5 minute task? Is this something that will take me a long time? Is me cooking my favorite dish? Cooking is a great way for people to spend quality time with themselves. That can be a longer task. So when you have this list of things with you by your side, and you know that, oh, do I have time to spend with myself today? You now know that I can give this a try, I can try cooking something new. Or if not, oh, I just want to spend quality time with myself but I don't have that much time, maybe I can listen to a song, maybe I can watch some funny videos. People are hooked onto short form content, maybe I can watch some shorts. You can do
Mm.
anything you want to do. It's once again coming back to what it feels like and looks like for you as a human being.
It's all about being organized at the same time, because sometimes we say we don't have time, But when you
Mm.
ask someone, what have you been up to the whole day since you woke up? They're like, even them, they come to realize that, oh yeah, I should have done this at this time, I should have done this at this time. Because some tasks, you divide them during the day, you do one at 10 a.m, the other one at 11 p.m. But if you did them together, you will have saved more time for yourself. So the moment you get into the habit of writing down things to do, what am I up to today, you're able to get organized for the day, and you're able to create some time for yourself. And that is why when you talk about looking after the body wellness, like maybe going for a walk, going to the gym, or just doing some physical activity, we always say, I don't have time, I'm very busy, I'm very busy. But if you want, if something is very important to you, you will sit down, call yourself for your meeting, and tell yourself, this is what I want to happen. And trust me, you will create that space for yourself. You will make it a priority. When I'm doing my list, I always have one, two, three. There's priority one, priority two, priority three. Priority three, it's fine if it doesn't happen. But priority one, it has to happen. So you have to prioritize things. So
Mm.
before we sign off, I've seen some amazing comments. Thank you so much, guys, for the energy. Ooh, they're
Yeah,
so
we have
good.
one more question though. Is there a stigma of using the word stress incorrectly? I would like to just add on very quickly what Jane said, reframe the word, right? And going back to the example, if I see people around me winning and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling so stressed out about this, I can use it as a good stress, the use stress, or I can use it as a bad stress. It's
Mhm.
all about how you use a specific word, how you think about a specific word. Trigger can be both a good trigger and a bad trigger. How are you going to utilize it, reframe it, and that would be a great way to go about it. Anything you would like to add on, Jane, before we end this?
It's the same thing you said, like how you respond, it matters a lot. How I respond to something is what matters a lot. So yes, I can say this is a stressful situation, but stress can be a good thing to me. Maybe stress is my motivator. That's how I use the word
Mm.
stress. But when I use stress on you, you're like, no, keep that word away from me. So I think it depends with how you look at it. Charmaine said, I practice stress management and accept that stress is part of the daily life. There's also
Mm.
called good stress, yeah. And then Priya
Mm.
said, during stressful days, I refrain from saying I'm stressed if someone asks me I'm doing how I'm doing. And that is
Mm.
another thing when you meet somebody in the Madhurima, how are you? I'm so stressed. Why are you just in the morning? Just because somebody poured a cup of coffee next to you, you allow that to take all the energy of
Mm.
the day. Refrain from using that word, because the more you use it, the more it starts becoming a reality. And then not always easy to do that if you're around a noisy environment. I think that was about when you're doing visualization and all that. And then I think I've lost Madhurima. 1 minute breathing is so helpful and powerful. It will align with your heart, mind, and body. Yes. And then spending time with yourself in your own imagination is calming. That is very true, Priya. And then Charmaine said, I practice that five senses, five things that you can see, four things that you can touch. Hello. So I was
Hello.
reading Charmaine say the practice that five senses, five things that you can see, four things that you can touch, three things that you can hear, two things that you can smell, and one thing that you can taste. It brings you back to the present moment. Yes.
Mm.
Use your senses. It allows you to be in the present. And then we have Adele. Remove yourself from the situation. Take the break you need to relax and regain focus.
Mm.
Very true. Just take
Love
like
that.
2 or 3 minutes. If you need to run to the bathroom, you need to go for a smoke or something, walk away. Give yourself that space. And then we have, let me see. That's right. We always thought of someone through music. Yeah, these are how the triggers they come to us. We have, let me see if there's anything else I've missed. Tony Robbins uses anchors when he's on the stage. He hits his chest, and nobody will ever have known. But it's a way for him to. And then Charmaine again says, like, when I feel stressed, I take a deep breath, say a short prayer, and hug myself. Oh, that's beautiful.
Mm.
And then we have Aya who said, I do the five whys. I focus more on the problem. So you ask yourself why, and then you give your again why. You give yourself all the five, and by the time you're done with the five why, I'm sure you have an answer. And then I again said, I also use the app How We Feel, so I can track my emotional
Mm.
triggers. I can analyze it per day. week, or month. It is also connected to Apple Health and synced with my exercise, sleep, and period. So I think we can all check it out. If we don't have the app, it
Ooh.
might help us to track and all that. Charmaine, again, be kind and loving to oneself and pass it on to others. Yes, take care of yourself. Yeah, but take care of other people. And
Yeah.
then um,
Oh,
just
Jane, I wanted to say this wonderful thing. I remember we were discussing this back when we were first discussing about this, and it was holding space for people. So, if you're feeling stressed out, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you need someone to talk to, please reach out to Jane. Please reach out to me on Coaching Minds. We would love to hold that space for you. A safe, non judgmental space where you can show up and share whatever is going on, and we promise to hold that space for you. Yeah, we just wanted to let you guys know that you're not alone in this journey. You have us cheering you on. Reach out to us. We would love to hold that space for you. Yeah.
yes, absolutely. And once we learn how to manage space and take care of each other, we make the world a better place. So
Mm.
there's so many comments. If I go through them, I think we'll take another one
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Thank you
Oh my gosh.
guys
Yeah.
so much for the love. Thank you for tuning in. Somebody mentioned in the comments it's a great topic to start the year, which is absolutely true. Once we learn to
Hmm.
manage stress, we are able to take care of our mind, our body, and our souls. I am Jane. I'm in the Coaching Minds group. If you want us to connect, you can always meet there. If you need someone to walk you through stress management, if you need someone to
Yeah.
assist you in doing the stress management, we can always work on that. I don't know if Madhurima is
Yes.
still with me.
I'm still here. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I'm still here. My camera just died. It was like I'm feeling stressed out. Oh my gosh, I'm feeling stressed out. So hold on. Let me
That's
see if I
fine.
can actually go and tune in with my laptop. Oh, I can't. Uh,
That's all
oh
right.
wait,
You
I
can
can.
always
I can.
okay.
No, I can't. Never mind. But yeah, thank you so much everyone for showing up here, for being here. We love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a fantastic evening, and we will see you in the next webinar. Thank you so much.
Yes, let's go. Amazing. Also, I before we tune out, I just wanted to let you guys know I have an amazing community called the Stress Busters community. Link of that will be added in the replay option. So you
Mhm.
can check it out. And yeah, thank you so much for being here. I'd love to hold space for you guys.
Yeah, if anybody will be watching the replay, you can always leave your question or comments, and we'll
Mm,
always get back to you. Thank
yes,
you.
amazing. Woohoo! Let's go. All right.